You have been taught that comfort is the reward for hard work. That once you achieve enough, struggle enough, sacrifice enough, you will finally arrive at a place where life becomes easy. This is the lie that keeps most people trapped in mediocrity. Comfort is not the destination. Comfort is the slow poison that kills your potential while you sleep. It convinces you that where you are is where you should stay. It whispers that change is dangerous, that growth is unnecessary, that the familiar path is always the safest path. You can spend years building a comfortable life and wake up one day to discover that comfort has become your prison. You wanted security, but you created stagnation. You wanted peace, but you created emptiness. You wanted to feel safe, but you only learned to feel small. The world will offer you comfort at every turn. It will tell you to take the easier job, choose the safer relationship, avoid the difficult conversation, postpone the challenging decision. It will reward you for staying predictable, for asking for less, for accepting whatever situation requires the least effort to maintain. But if you want to become who you are truly capable of becoming, you must develop a ruthless relationship with comfort. Not because comfort is evil, but because comfort stops asking questions. It stops demanding growth. It stops believing that better is possible. Most people mistake comfort for success. They confuse stability with strength. They think that avoiding failure means they are winning, but there is a difference between not losing and actually winning. When you choose comfort over growth, you are not protecting yourself. You are slowly surrendering yourself. Consider your daily choices. Do you take the conversation that challenges your thinking, or do you avoid topics that make you uncomfortable? And do you pursue opportunities that demand you grow, or do you choose options that allow you to remain exactly who you are today? Do you surround yourself with people who inspire you to become better, or do you stay with those who never ask you to change? Do you seek feedback that reveals your weaknesses, or do you avoid situations where your limitations might be exposed? These small choices create your identity. Every time you choose what feels easy over what you know would make you stronger, you train yourself to accept less. You teach your mind that discomfort should be avoided rather than embraced. You build the habit of retreat rather than advancement. Your mind will create elaborate justifications for avoiding discomfort. It will tell you that you are being reasonable, practical, responsible. It will remind you of every risk, every potential failure, every possible embarrassment. It will make comfort seem like wisdom and growth seem like recklessness. But your mind is designed to protect you from danger, not to help you achieve excellence. It cannot tell the difference between actual threat and temporary discomfort. It treats the fear of public speaking the same way it treats the fear of physical harm. It responds to the possibility of rejection as if rejection could destroy you. If you obey every warning your mind creates, your world becomes smaller. You begin avoiding not just real danger, but anything that feels uncertain. You stop applying for positions you might not get. You stop starting conversations you might lose. You stop attempting anything where success is not guaranteed. The ruthless truth is that every meaningful achievement in your life happened when you moved past comfort. Every skill you developed required you to practice while you were still bad at it. Every relationship you value began when you risked rejection. Every opportunity you seized demanded that you act before you felt completely ready. Growth lives outside your comfort zone, and it will always live there. The moment something becomes comfortable, it stops forcing you to develop new capabilities. The job that once challenged you becomes routine. The workout that once pushed your limits becomes maintenance. The conversations that once stretched your thinking become predictable. This is why successful people consistently seek new forms of discomfort. They understand that comfort is not a destination to reach, but a signal that it is time to move. They become ruthless about identifying when they have become too comfortable, and they deliberately disrupt their own stability. You must learn to recognize when comfort is serving you and when it is limiting you. Comfort after intense effort can restore your energy. Comfort that prevents necessary action weakens your character. Rest is useful. Avoidance is destructive. Ask yourself where you have become too comfortable. What conversations are you avoiding? What skills have you stopped developing? What opportunities are you refusing to pursue because they would require you to risk failure, embarrassment, or uncertainty? What dreams have you abandoned because achieving them would demand that you become someone you are not yet capable of being? Where have you chosen to stay small rather than risk the discomfort of growing larger? The psychology of comfort addiction. Understand this. Comfort becomes addictive. Your brain is wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. Once you discover a pattern that feels safe, your mind wants to repeat it endlessly. This served humans well when survival was the primary concern. It does not serve you well when growth is the goal. Comfort addiction works like any other addiction. First, you use comfort occasionally to recover from stress. Then you begin choosing comfort more frequently. Eventually, you need comfort to feel normal. Finally, you cannot function without constant comfort, and any demand for growth feels like an emergency. You tell yourself you will start tomorrow. You promise that after this project, this month, this year, you will finally pursue what you really want. But tomorrow never arrives because comfort teaches you to postpone anything that requires immediate discomfort, even when that discomfort leads to long-term improvement. This is why comfortable people often feel empty despite having achieved what they thought they wanted. They have security, but they lack purpose. They have stability, but they have stopped growing. They have eliminated risk, but they have also eliminated excitement, challenge, and the satisfaction that comes from overcoming obstacles. The comfortable life becomes a prison with golden bars. You have everything you need to survive, but nothing that makes you feel truly alive. You wake up each day knowing exactly what to expect. Your conversations follow familiar scripts. Your routines never vary. Your challenges never push you past what you already know you can handle. Meanwhile, time passes, years disappear. You age, but you do not mature. You accumulate experiences, but they are all variations of the same experience. You tell yourself that consistency is valuable, and it is, but consistency without growth is simply repetition. Some people spend decades in jobs that stopped teaching them anything years ago. They remain in relationships that no longer inspire them to become better people. They live in environments that never challenge their thinking. They surround themselves with people who share all their opinions and never force them to defend their beliefs. They convince themselves that this predictability equals wisdom, but wisdom requires continuously learning. If you are not regularly discovering that some of your previous beliefs were wrong, you are not growing. If you never encounter ideas that make you uncomfortable, you are living in an echo chamber. Comfort also destroys your tolerance for uncertainty. When everything in your life is predictable, even small amounts of uncertainty feel overwhelming. You lose the ability to adapt, to improvise, to respond creatively to unexpected situations. Your flexibility disappears because you never practice it. This makes you fragile. When change inevitably comes, whether through economic shifts, health challenges, relationship changes, or unexpected opportunities, you are unprepared. The very comfort that was supposed to protect you has made you vulnerable because you have lost the skills needed to navigate uncertainty. The anatomy of comfort zones, your comfort zone is not one zone. It is multiple zones operating in different areas of your life. You might be comfortable taking financial risks, but terrified of emotional vulnerability. You might easily challenge yourself physically, but avoid intellectual challenges. You might speak confidently in professional settings, but remain silent in personal conversations that matter. Understanding this is crucial because most people focus on expanding their comfort zone in areas where they are already relatively strong while avoiding the areas where they are genuinely weak. They become more confident in some ways while remaining limited in others. True growth requires identifying all the areas where comfort is limiting you. Your social comfort zone determines who you can connect with, what conversations you can have, what relationships you can build. Your intellectual comfort zone determines what ideas you can consider, what problems you can solve, what knowledge you can acquire. Your emotional comfort zone determines what feelings you can tolerate, what conflicts you can navigate, what intimacy you can handle. Your physical comfort zone determines what challenges you can endure, what goals you can pursue, what energy you can maintain. Your professional comfort zone determines what positions you can accept, what responsibilities you can handle, what leadership you can provide. Your creative comfort zone determines what ideas you can express, what risks you can take with your work, what vulnerability you can show in your art. Each of these zones can expand or contract independently. You can grow in some areas while shrinking in others. This is why some successful people remain limited in fundamental ways. They pushed past comfort in their career, but avoided discomfort in their relationships. They developed intellectual courage, but maintained emotional cowardice. The goal is not to eliminate all comfort zones. Comfort zones serve important functions. They provide stability, reduce stress, and allow you to operate efficiently in familiar situations. The problem arises when your comfort zones become so narrow that they prevent necessary growth. A healthy relationship with comfort means regularly expanding your comfort zones while maintaining some areas of stability. You cannot live in constant discomfort without burning out, but you cannot live in constant comfort without stagnating. Think of it like physical exercise. Your muscles need stress to grow, but they also need recovery. If you never stress your muscles, they atrophy. If you stress them constantly without recovery, they break down. The optimal approach involves cycles of challenge and rest, stress and recovery, growth and consolidation. The seductive nature of incremental comfort. Comfort rarely destroys you suddenly. It destroys you gradually, one small choice at a time. This makes it particularly dangerous because each individual choice seems reasonable. You are not deciding to abandon your dreams. You are just choosing the easier option today. You tell yourself you will pursue that challenging opportunity next month. You promise you will have that difficult conversation after this busy period ends. You convince yourself that you will start taking risks once you have built up more security. Each postponement seems logical, but together they create a pattern of avoidance. This is how people wake up at 40, 50, or 60, having lived someone else's life. They made thousands of small decisions to avoid discomfort, and those decisions accumulated into a life that feels safe but meaningless. They followed the path of least resistance until that path led them far from who they wanted to become. The most dangerous comfort is the kind that feels like progress. You attend seminars about personal growth, but never apply what you learn. You read books about success, but never take the risk success requires. You make plans for change, but never implement them. You feel productive because you are thinking about growth, but thinking is comfortable. Action is what requires courage. Another seductive aspect of comfort is that it often comes disguised as responsibility. You tell yourself you cannot take risks because other people depend on you. You convince yourself that maintaining stability is noble, that dreaming of something better is selfish. You use your obligations to others as an excuse to avoid obligations to yourself. But when you stop growing, you eventually have less to offer the people who depend on you. When you accept less than you are capable of becoming, you model limitation for those who look up to you. When you choose security over growth, you teach others that dreams should be abandoned when life gets complicated. The truth is that taking care of others often requires you to continue growing. Children need parents who demonstrate that growth is possible throughout life. Partners need companions who remain interesting, who continue developing, who do not stop evolving. Employees need leaders who can navigate new challenges, learn new skills, adapt to changing circumstances. Your comfort zone also tends to shrink if you do not consciously expand it. What feels challenging today becomes comfortable tomorrow, which means what feels comfortable today might feel scary next year if you have not been practicing discomfort. People who avoid challenges for too long often discover that they have become afraid of things that would not have bothered them in the past. This is why elderly people sometimes seem afraid of technology, social changes, or new ideas. It is not that they are incapable of learning. It is that they spent decades avoiding the discomfort of learning new things, and their tolerance for confusion, uncertainty, and temporary incompetence has disappeared. The cost of comfort in different life areas, in relationships, comfort can be equally destructive. Many people settle into relationship patterns that require nothing new from either person. They stop having conversations that challenge their thinking. They stop sharing dreams that might require change. They stop being vulnerable about their fears or honest about their dissatisfactions. This kind of comfortable relationship feels peaceful, but it is often the peace of stagnation rather than the peace of deep connection. Both people remain who they were when the relationship began. Neither person grows. The relationship becomes predictable, safe, and ultimately boring. Comfortable relationships also avoid conflict, but conflict is necessary for growth. When two people never disagree, and it usually means one person has stopped expressing their authentic thoughts and feelings. When couples never argue, it often means they have stopped discussing anything important enough to argue about. Healthy relationships require both comfort and discomfort. Comfort provides security, trust, and ease. Discomfort provides growth, challenge, and deepening intimacy. Relationships without discomfort become shallow. Relationships without comfort become exhausting. The balance between the two creates relationships that are both stable and dynamic. In your career, comfort can limit your earning potential, your impact, and your satisfaction. Many people reach a level of competence in their work and then coast for decades. They stop learning new skills, taking on new challenges, or pursuing promotions that would require them to grow. This might seem like a reasonable strategy for reducing stress, but it often backfires. Industries change, technologies evolve, and companies restructure. The person who has been coasting for years suddenly finds themselves unprepared for a changing job market. Their comfortable position becomes an uncomfortable liability. Moreover, work that stops challenging you often becomes meaningless. You spend 40 hours per week doing things that require no growth, no creativity, no problem solving. This kind of work pays the bills, but it slowly kills your sense of purpose and capability. The most fulfilled professionals are those who consistently seek roles that stretch their abilities. They volunteer for projects that require skills they do not yet possess. They ask for feedback that reveals their weaknesses. They pursue positions that intimidate them. They remain students throughout their careers. In health and fitness, comfort leads to decline. Your body adapts to whatever you regularly demand of it. If you demand very little, your strength, endurance, flexibility, and energy will match that level of demand. If you consistently challenge your physical capabilities, your body will develop greater capabilities. This principle applies beyond exercise. It applies to how much sleep you need, how much stress you can handle, how much focus you can maintain, how much discomfort you can endure. People who live very comfortable lives often become unable to tolerate even minor physical discomforts. They need perfect temperature control, perfect lighting, perfect noise levels, perfect food preparation. They become so accustomed to physical comfort that any deviation from ideal conditions affects their mood, energy, and performance. This makes them dependent on external circumstances for their well-being. People who regularly expose themselves to controlled discomfort develop greater resilience. They can function effectively in imperfect conditions. They can maintain their energy when they are slightly hungry, slightly cold, slightly tired, or slightly stressed. They become less dependent on perfect circumstances. The false security of comfort, one of the most dangerous aspects of comfort, is that it creates an illusion of security. When your life is predictable, when your income is stable, when your relationships are consistent, when your environment is familiar, you feel safe. But this safety is often more fragile than it appears. The world changes whether you change with it or not. Economic conditions shift. Technology advances, social norms evolve, political landscapes transform. The more comfortable you have become, the more these changes can disrupt your life because you have not been practicing adaptation. True security comes not from avoiding change, but from developing the ability to navigate change effectively. True security comes from knowing that you can learn new skills, build new relationships, adapt to new circumstances, and solve new problems. This kind of security requires regular practice with uncertainty and discomfort. Consider the person who has worked the same job for 20 years, lived in the same house, maintained the same routines, and associated with the same people. If any of these elements suddenly change, they may feel completely lost. Their entire identity has become dependent on external consistency. Compare this to someone who has regularly changed jobs to pursue growth, moved to experience different environments, altered their routines to try new approaches, and built relationships with diverse types of people. When change occurs, they have experience adapting. Change feels familiar rather than catastrophic. The false security of comfort also prevents you from discovering your true capabilities. When you never test your limits, you never learn what those limits actually are. You might be capable of much more than you realize, but comfort keeps you from finding out. Many people underestimate their ability to handle stress, solve problems, learn new skills, or recover from setbacks because they have spent years avoiding situations that would test these abilities. They assume they are fragile because they have never discovered their strength. This is particularly tragic because humans are remarkably adaptive creatures. You can learn to handle much more than you currently handle. You can develop skills you currently lack. You can recover from failures that currently seem devastating. You can thrive in environments that currently seem impossible. But you will never discover these capabilities if you consistently choose comfort over challenge. You will never know your potential strength if you never encounter situations that require strength. You will never develop resilience if you never face adversity. You will never discover your creativity if you never encounter problems that require creative solutions. Breaking free from comfort addiction, breaking free from excessive comfort requires a systematic approach. You cannot simply decide to abandon all comfort immediately. That approach leads to overwhelming discomfort and rapid retreat to old patterns. Instead, you must gradually expand your comfort zone while building new habits and mindsets. Start by identifying the specific areas where comfort is limiting your growth. Be honest about where you have been choosing ease over excellence, security over possibility, familiarity over opportunity. Write down the conversations you have been avoiding, the skills you have stopped developing, the risks you have been unwilling to take. Then begin with small challenges. If you avoid difficult conversations, start by expressing minor disagreements. If you avoid physical discomfort, take cold showers or exercise until you feel tired. If you avoid